My name is Matthew Mugo, and I am the convener of Royal Youth Mentorship Program. This is a program that we've been running through this period of, from the time curfew was announced, from 10th of April, we started our first session. We just started with a small group of youth that I was mentoring. And then we continued that way, inviting more and more. And now we have become this big. You can imagine we have done how many sessions? Tonight is session number 42. So Professor, we are here, we are waiting for you. Karibu sana.
I want you to allow me to make a presentation.
To share your screen.
I want to thank you for inviting me to come to join you. I say this because I have been talking to youth in many ways. Because we are in a very serious transition. And I thought that I'll make it a project on myself to talk to many youth, especially the issue of the future of work. The future is not that I have any powers to determine what the future would be. It is because that we now have the capability to look at the trends, to look at the data, to look at many sources of information to almost predict what would happen in the days to come. If you look back around 1700, 1800, the entire world was worried that the population was increasing and they wanted to produce more food. And that is the time they started what we call mechanization of agriculture, meaning that instead of people using the hoe, the djembes to dig, they introduced tractors, they introduced other methods, mechanized farming so that they can produce more. And so many people, they improved their productivity, but that mechanization removed so many people from the jobs they used to do. If you see, for example, if today we introduced mechanization in agriculture, many people will lose jobs. And I think some of you would remember when the machines were brought to pick tea, the unions opposed them, that they would remove jobs. But those who went ahead and created mechanization, improved their food productivity, and they are able to feed their people. And at the same time, they created even more jobs. Then came around 1900 when another revolution came. The one I talked was the first industrial revolution. Then the second industrial revolution came around 1900. This one, they looked at the production of many things, like vehicles, like equipment, which used to, if they made a vehicle, they would spend the whole week making 1 week. So they introduced a manufacturing line where they can be able to produce more. And because of that, they were thinking that if we produced more vehicles, we would lower the cost. We would lower the cost of production and everybody would afford the vehicle. But at the same time, they went through so many problems to do that. If you think about the introduction of the car, the vehicle was introduced in order to create something that does not get tired, because what they used to use were horses in terms of transportation. If you are moving from Nairobi to Thika, the horse would reach in Ruiru and it refused to move because it can't make it to Thika for that long. And so they thought, can we make a machine that doesn't get tired? That's how they created the vehicle. And when I say that, that is how you look at a problem and come out with an opportunity. That is very important lesson in entrepreneurship, in those who are losing jobs and trying to find new jobs. That any problem creates an opportunity. So they looked at that thing and they said, okay, we can create an engine which pulls this cart because horses used to pull the cart. So they created that engine, but when using the horses, the brakes was just a sound like, then the horses would stop and they stop. But when they created a vehicle, they didn't know how to create the brakes. I had reached a point where I was talking about how they struggled to create the vehicle. So when they discovered the vehicle had no brakes, someone said, oops, let us put a handbrake. And they would drive the vehicle whenever they reach somewhere to stop, they would pull the handbrake. And then people would fly from the vehicle and fall in front. So they kept on improving the vehicle to what we have today. But that story, I'll bring it back later into the area of entrepreneurship. So in the second industrial revolution, they created mass production to lower the cost so that everybody can afford the vehicle. And then around mid-1900s to 20th century, we saw the introduction of ICTs. ICTs also, we were almost missing the opportunity. But somehow, Kenya, for example, introduced M-Pesa, which brought a lot of productivity. Every industrial revolution brings an aspect of improved productivity and makes us more efficient. If you see what ICTs have done, what the government has invested in terms of digitalization, and that has enabled us to apply for passports online. It used to be that you would wait for several months before you could get your passport. Now we have improved. From 2018, another industrial revolution came. If you see, this is what I was talking about. This is first, second, third, and fourth. We are in the fourth industrial revolution at the moment. This one is very disruptive. Like the first industrial revolution, when we said that a lot of people will lose jobs if we mechanized. If you brought a tractor, it will do 1,000 acres with very few people. But before you could need about 1,000 people to do the same, to do that, and then you lose those 900 jobs. The fourth industrial revolution is going to be mostly run by what we call big data, Internet of Things, robotics, artificial intelligence, machine learning. These are technologies that are coming, including blockchain. These technologies are already here. They are already disrupting us. Big data is being used to make very precise predictions. And I will show you how. A few years ago, we used to look at the descriptive analytics on the hindsight. What happened? Like when the Auditor General would come and say, ask questions, what happened with the accounts here? How was the money stolen and stuff like that? We moved to what we call diagnostics, where you find insights, what happened and why, so that you can be able to block that. But that has moved to foresight now. What will happen? When will it happen and why? So that you can tell people in advance Among you, those who are a little older, remember that our TV, KBC, used to, or VOK, used to tell us about rain coming tomorrow. They used to say, kutakuwa na rasha ya mvua na manyunyu or something. Then you avoid to carry an umbrella. It rains you thoroughly. They were not able to predict. But today, they can actually tell you the whole of next week we are going to have heavy rainfall, which means a lot of data has enabled them to predict precisely what would happen. And we are now at the stage of where you can actually prescribe the analytics, where you simulate where would jobs come from in the next 10 years. You look at the trends, you look at the data, then you are able to precisely determine what is going to happen. That's how mostly other countries where you see them saying, people move from here because there is going to be a hurricane and the people move and very few people die. So then it moves to what we call cognitive level. This is where artificial intelligence comes in, where you can actually tell precisely what is going to happen in the coming days. That's how we are able to talk about the future. It is not any other ways of knowing it, and we have known that it's become very precise as we continue to discuss. But I want you to look at this these charts. It shows three very disruptive cycles that have come. The first one, which came in the 90s, and I'm talking about during the third industrial revolution, was internet. We did not think there is money to be made from internet. Up to 2000, actually, we just used internet to send emails and whatever. But other parts of the world were busy making search engines, web browsers, and have made a lot of money. Then mobility came, and we did not use it to make money. So Americans mostly created mobile platforms. They created social media platforms. And these have actually dominated us for quite some time. And a lot of money is being made. We are just users. We are just users of it. We are not the ones creating it. We don't make money from it. And I'm saying this so that we open our eyes as the third wave comes. The third wave is called the blockchain. This is the technology that runs what is called cryptography or cryptocurrency. So in as much as we are trying to refuse that cryptocurrency will never come, it is going to come. Whether we like it or we don't like it, it is going to come. It is already here. It is also one that you can use to manage very difficult operations. For example, to manage supply chains, which have become very difficult for us to manage. We can't predict how much fish Kenyans eat and when do they need that fish. So with blockchain, it's very easy to understand the process. Luckily, we are beginning to see companies that have been created locally using this technology. A company like Twiga Food, which is using both blockchain and artificial intelligence, which I showed you up here, is already operational. We have another small company called, which uses artificial intelligence and to teach people. Because for many years, we have been thinking that there are people who are foolish, or there are people who are not bright, and only a few people who are bright. That is false. because of this data analytics, because of artificial intelligence, it has been discovered that the people who don't perform well, say in O-level, say in standard 8, it is not that they are foolish. It is the way God created them, that they will take time to understand a concept that another person will take a few minutes to understand. If you gave it to them according to the abilities that God gave them, they will probably be better than those ones whom we say they are clever now. And that is what we call adaptive learning. We have a company called Schule, if you write it down and check about it, that we left behind some people whom we thought were not bright. But as you proceed and go up to PhD with your PhD, you go to the village, you find these people are very rich entrepreneurs. To the extent that some people used to say you have to be a little stupid to succeed in entrepreneurship. That is not true. It is because in entrepreneurship, they found a way of learning at their own pace and succeeding. So we could change the lives of many people if we allowed them to learn at their own pace and avoid to use such words. Huyu mtoto ni mjinga, ajui mambo. But when they open up, they would open up in a big way and become even better than those whom we thought they were smarter. Because of that data, which we talked about here, this data here, new companies are being created. These new companies are coming with new business models that we don't understand. And this is where they are competitively better than us. Instead of us thinking to bring a business that competitors don't understand, we fight ourselves. Even Ndemo is selling bananas today. You would bring bananas. If I sold all my bananas, you would be another person. But in a few days, we are 10 people selling bananas to the same people. We end up killing one another. I mean, killing in terms of finishing that business because it is not viable anymore. Nobody makes profits. Ideally, you are supposed to come to the guy selling bananas and ask, is there anybody selling maize here? So that you sell maize, you differentiate yourself from the other. But because everybody does what seems to be successful, do not worry. If it is those bananas, go there and say, can I buy the bananas from you? Then you make banana juice, which is another product, which you change what they're doing and create a new product. And if they come to make the juice, you move and make banana bread, and you keep on changing yourself. In fact, this is a major theory in entrepreneurship, that from time to time, you must creatively destroy yourself and creatively recreate yourself. By so doing, you become more competitive. This is what Americans have done. They have created a transport company that our taxis cannot compete with. Because previously, you could be standing in a place and a taxi is about 50 meters away, but they can't know that you are there. But the Americans would know that you need a taxi within your 50 meters, and you go and you create business which was not there. It brings convenience. The same thing, the world's biggest media company, it doesn't create content, it is us who create content. Like right now as I speak, we are creating content and the people are watching. And because people are watching, advertisers are coming there and they are making money, which is a very complex way of making money. Then you go to world's most valuable retailer, Alibaba. They don't own even a Biro pen, not even a Biro pen, but they are the world's largest, most valuable retailer. The same thing, world's most largest accommodation provider, doesn't have real estate. Then you can continue with world's largest video conference, the same. They don't own the telcos. So nothing stops you from creating a global company from where you are seated at the moment, because if you think properly, you would be able to succeed from whatever you are doing. So what is creating this is because the future has changed. The future of work has drastically changed. And that is where I need to say a few slides about it so that everybody knows what's going to happen, because this technology has enabled us to change what the future would look like. Because we have, just 1 second. Yes, the future of work has changed in the sense that because of these global companies, you would find their work is going to be also very global, and it can be done from anywhere. And that's the concept of the gig economy, where you get jobs to do today, which are not similar jobs that you did last month, meaning that you train yourself to do multiple types of jobs. The question you ask yourself, so how am I going to be able to do that? You would be able to do that because we have a new concept of lifelong learning. You would learn throughout your life. And if you can't adopt it that way, there would be a problem, because the companies that you are seeing here, the jobs they are giving, like Uber drivers, they are low-end jobs. If you look at Facebook content curators and stuff, they are low-end jobs. The same thing, the inventory and whatever. So if we want to be at the level where we are making money, big money, and the bigger jobs, we must train constantly, and we must embrace new types of training that would enable us to work at that level. Government, therefore, must invest in universities and tertiary institutions that will teach the future of work, that will teach courses that surround the future of work. Focus more on areas that I've talked about. How does artificial intelligence work? How does blockchain work? How can we use it to provide credit to poor people? How can we use it to streamline supply chain? And when I talk about supply chain, there are 1 million jobs in that space, even as I speak to you. You just have to look at where is the problem. If you go to Kiambu, Moranga, you'll find so many farmers with eggs, but they don't have the market for eggs. They don't have that because no one is aggregating those eggs to transport them to where the market is. And because we have these companies now delivering at home and doing whatever, that is the kind of network that you want to get into, because I wrote last week that the current retail companies would have a lot of problems to survive because people can start their own enterprises. For example, if you aggregated people who have organic foods and the people trust that you have organic foods, they would ask you to deliver to their homes, which means the grocery stores that you would see, that you used to see in Nakumat, that you used to see in Uchumi died, Nakumat died, the other two from South Africa are dying. So because of the agility, when you start as an individual and you are very agile, you are able to undermine these bigger companies, and a new company is created, which is more competitive than the other one, which has a lot of costs. Meaning, we can get even 1,000 people today to supply different things if we organize ourselves and then digitize that space. Digitized in the sense that you can be able to be seen online, and customers at some point begin to trust you that what you provide is what you promise. And that changes the mathematics of bigger companies by creating new, nimble, smaller ones that are more competitive than the bigger companies. So we have so many opportunities, but we need to be talking about where are these opportunities? What should I be doing? Those are the questions you should be asking yourself. We have another bigger opportunity in the sense that we have a lot of younger people, and most of the younger people have good education. Government has created ICT infrastructure. So it is very easy for you to bring a layer of an enterprise on top of this and actually succeed. If you don't understand, and that is what I've been telling young people, come and say, explain to me how I can create a company here. We have logistics firms. We don't have people to provide services to people in every aspect. We have young people now with very small companies specialized in certain areas, but they are able to do things. The other thing is that how do I get to know more about this? There is something the government has rolled out called the Digital Learning Program. This program is at all levels, from consumer level, product skills level, to developer skills, to e-leadership skills. Every constituency has got 2 of this throughout the country, but no, people don't go there to learn. If you went as a user, as a consumer level, and understand this, you can even start the advertising for people in the rural areas to advertise to urban areas and create some money. Meaning you cannot just sit, because the opportunities are enormous as we speak. All we need to know from you is that, do you understand how this works? And where can I get it for free? The government has done it here. Then there are several other platforms. There is IBM, which would give a lot of training for free. MIT would give a lot of trainings for free. If you went deeper, you can go to places like Coursera to train yourself. But here, I think you must pay. And you've got to do that at some point in order to get certain qualifications, which if you don't want to do business, you can at least be able to get employment in a reasonable place. So I'll give you one homework. If you went to Google, just even before you start asking questions, and you plugged in big data analytics in Kenya, you find there are more than 9,000 jobs there, and those jobs don't get applications. But as I know, there are so many young people who don't have jobs. Jobs have shifted to what we call the new space. And you can't find a job as an accountant, but there is a job as a data analytics for accounting. There is a job for data analytics in some space. And don't worry about the word data analytics. Even if you did history, if you go to those places, and if you don't find, you can write to me and say, where do I get this course? You can go to IBM and get it. It doesn't cost you anything. And within 3 months, you are ready actually to do that very job, which you look at and you are not able to do. So I think I would, here I was just saying capacity building, what government needs to do with TVETs, and we need to change perceptions of TVETs. We need to digitalize, as I told you. We need to digitalize even vegetables, which ones are for what purpose. and be able to differentiate ourselves. So I will stop there and take a few questions